Hello, this is the graded scratch race C grade from Oakville in Western Sydney, run by Parramatta Cycling Club. Just by way of introduction, my name's Ryan. I've been racing with Parramatta Cycling Club for about 18 months now, so I'm still fairly new to cycling, but I thought I'd shoot this video because I do spend a lot of time on cycling, and I thought I'd like to share with my family and friends what it is I do when I'm out on the road. Just a bit about the Oakville course itself. If you look at the top right hand corner of your screen, the circuit layout is displayed there. You can see the start finish line marked in yellow. The race was 4 laps anti-clockwise of this 7-kilometer circuit, which is kind of set out like a giant rectangle. We start by heading up this hill called Hankel Road, which goes on for a couple of kilometers before we take a left turn that takes us onto a slight downhill section, followed by another left turn that takes us onto a steeper downhill section, then a 90-degree left-hander onto the short straight section before another 90-degree left-hander into the finishing straight. Now, it is quite important to know the course when you're racing, as you're about to see. So coming up is this left-hander, which is not marked very well. The very first time I raced at Oakville, I actually missed this turn and went straight ahead instead, which was very embarrassing, but also quite disappointing because I was on a solo breakaway at the time, and I ended up finishing behind the bunch instead of being off the front, which is where I was. Now these park life guys, they make another mistake here, which is to turn left instead of going straight when they should be going straight, which is again embarrassing, but I'm sure they'll never make that mistake again. The middle 2 laps of the race were fairly uneventful. We just had number 93 here in the lilac setting the pace with some of the park life boys and the lifestyle and leisure boys. Pace was fairly comfortable with no attacks going off the front, which is fairly common in C grade. People tend to race a bit more passively instead of attacking, and there's a lot of waiting around for bunch sprints. So we'll skip forward to the end of the 3rd lap here, which is when I decide to go on a bit of an attack myself up Hankel Road, which is the first real attack of the entire race. So I go on the attack here. My legs are feeling quite sluggish and heavy. You can see I'm doing about 70 RPMs, whereas usually I'd love to be spinning at least 90 when I go on the attack. I checked my bike after the race and there was a bit of brake rub, so maybe that was it. Anyway, I'll fast forward this bit. You can see my heart rate is going up towards 180 beats per minute. My functional threshold heart rate is actually 175, so anything above 175 means that I am putting in quite a bit of an effort. I'm going anaerobic, and it's not sustainable. So I got on the attack, try to break the elastic, try to stretch things out a bit, and hopefully put some of the heavier guys in trouble. Now I do get caught again by the bunch here, and you see there's a jerk towards the left-hand side right there, which is where I felt my rear wheel skid. I didn't understand what was happening at the time, but a split second later, I heard the sound of carbon crashing, and the guy behind me had touched my rear wheel and gone down. I pressed on ahead, but the pack, despite the crash, was chasing me down quite easily. So not my best day in terms of legs. Maybe it was brake rub, but I think also my legs probably just weren't there on the day. So I do spend half of this climb up Hankel Road ahead off the front, but I'm never more than 20-30 meters away from the pack. And as this park life rider comes around me, the guy who took the turn left when he should have gone straight, well, he leads for the rest of this final lap, and this is coming down to the end of the quick downhill section. With 2 kilometers to go, there's a slight rise here, and I take that opportunity to try another dig, try another attack. But as soon as I go, I hear one of his teammates yelling to chase me down. So I never really got much of a gap here. Again, 10-20 meters. I look back and there's guys chasing in earnest and actually closing the gap quite easily. So my second attack, again, I was the only rider who really attacked in this race. Second attack didn't work either. So I decide, well, it's going to be a bunch sprint. I've run out of uphill sections to attack on, so find myself caught at the front. I don't want to be leading out the sprint, so I'm soft pedaling all of this as we speed it up. Soft pedaling, just trying to recover, hoping someone will come around to take the wind, but at the same time I'm hoping I don't get boxed in. So as soon as these couple of riders come around, I'm straight onto the wheel to make sure I have a decent position going into the final sprint. So we're about to hit the 90-degree left-hander, the final corner of the race. I'm in about 5th wheel here, which is not too bad a position. Again, our old friend number 93 is setting the pace at the front, and as we take this left-hander, the sprint's about to open up, and you'll see that I make quite a critical mistake in terms of my decision making and my positioning. The rider in black on the right hand side, he opens up the sprint. Number 66 comes through, this para rider comes through, and this is where I make the mistake of sitting on the wheel instead of opening up the sprint. So I hesitated. I thought there was a little bit further to go until the finish line, but as you can see, this gap starts opening up in front of the para rider. I gambled that he would be able to close that gap, but the gap just keeps opening up further and further. And now I decide to open up the sprint. I've got to close that gap. The race is getting away from me, but I've left it too late. And I roll in for 5th place behind these 4 sprinters ahead of me. So unfortunately, I'm finishing out of the money on this occasion. Let's go to a slow motion replay of that sprint just to see exactly what it is that I did wrong. The rider in the black kit starts off the sprint on the right hand side. Number 66 is there, and what I think I should have done is gone straight onto his wheel. I've left a gap go which the para rider has come and filled up. I should have been straight onto the wheel of number 66 there, in hindsight at least, and instead I've let it go. And at this point, I'm thinking I'm alright, because I'm thinking this para rider will close any gaps down and drag me closer to the front of the race. But instead, this gap opens up further and further. And by the time I realise that he's not going to close the gap, I've left it too late. So I should have really started my sprint earlier, not tried to rely on other people, but unfortunately I didn't. It's a bit of a disappointing result because I didn't really get to contest the sprint, but you live and you learn. I've learned a little bit about my own sprinting and decision making, so next time hopefully I'll have a better shot at the victory. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Bye.